Hi everyone. Today we're going to be talking about relating decimals, fractions, and percents. I'm going to do a very brief overview of percents here at the beginning and teach you some simple problems, and then we're going to work our way to some more complex problems. So most types of percent questions can be solved using a proportion or setting up an equation. We give you some basic ones like is over of equals percent over 100 or part over whole equals percent over 100. You can also use new over original. These are just helper words. Equals percent over 100. Ultimately, what you're looking for is ratios and proportions that go with your percentages that make them work. A ratio that matches the percentage that you were given. Or if you're looking for the percent, you're looking for the percent over 100 or the number over 100 that makes that proportion true. Now, some words we just have to define real quick. Is means equals. And of in math we know means to multiply. Those are some helpers, and your teachers will show you how to do these problems in multiple ways, but we're going to do very basic today. So the first problem we're going to look at is there were 18 girls wearing braids in their hair on New Year's Eve. There were 72 girls at the party in total. What percent of the girls were wearing braids in their hair that night? I would recommend using a proportion here. The 100 stays as a constant in that bottom corner there, and your percent will always go above it. Now, if I'm looking at these numbers, I'm not given a percent. So when I'm not given something, I can put an X or a variable of your choice there. Now, part of the things that you were given was part over whole, is over of, new over original. Well, in terms of these girls, there were 72 girls total. That would be your whole, so it would go in the denominator. The part would be how many girls that they're asking about in terms of the braids in their hair, which was 18. Now, I'm looking for the percent over 100 that makes 18 over 72 true, makes it a proportion. So there's more than one way to complete the problem. But is there a multiplier between 72 and 100? Not one that works nicely, so I'd recommend cross-multiplying. 18 times 100 be 1800 equals 72 times x, which is 72x. Then I want x alone, so I'm going to divide by 72. Use my calculator to help me out a little bit. And I would get 25%. Now, an alternate way of solving this is seeing that I have a full fraction. You can treat it as you would a test score. I mean, 18 out of 72 would be a horrible test score, but you could pretend. 18 divided by 72, because I'm treating it as a fraction, changing the fraction to a decimal first, would be 0.25, and then times 100, that would bring you back to 25%. So that's just one way that you could do it. Now, number 2 says, Chuck earned a medal in 40% of his hockey tournaments this winter. He earned 6 medals this winter. How many tournaments did he participate in this winter in all? Back to my proportion. It's a good, if you have a standard percentage problem, it is a good way to solve. It really helps you out with the setup. 100 goes here. And in this case, I was given the percent. That's 40. The only tough part is deciding where does the 6 go. 6 is how many medals he earned. So do you think that goes with the 40% or the 100%? Well, let's read what it's talked about. He earned the 6 medals from the hockey tournaments that he participated in. How many tournaments did he participate this winter in all? That helps us. We don't know how many he participated in all. But we know in 6 of them, he did very well. Now, at this point, you would cross-multiply. So I'm going to have 40x equals 600. So I'm going to take 600 divided by 40. Divided by 40. And I would get 15. So that means there were 15 tournaments. 15 tournaments in all. Okay, next question. It says, Jessie's buying a baby stroller at Target. The stroller is $180. She has a coupon for 20% off. She will also be using her Target Red Card, so she will receive an additional 5% off after she uses the coupon. What is the final cost of the stroller? So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to find 20% off. I find the easiest way, if you want to find a percent of something, the easiest way is to make the percent a decimal and then multiply by whatever the item was. This is a shortcut way of doing it, finding 20% of something. So 20% of 180, and you could use a proportion here, okay, but I'm just showing you a shortcut, is 36. So is the stroller going to cost $36? No, that doesn't make sense. It's going to be off by that much. So 180, take away the 36. We're going to find the new price of the stroller is going to be $144. Next, it says she's going to get an additional 5% off the coupon price. So we're going to take 5% times the coupon price times the 144. So we'll take 5% times the 144. That's going to give us $7.20. This is the discount in addition to the coupon. Now, is the stroller cost $7.20 now? No, that doesn't make sense. So it's going to be 144. Take away the $7.20. Using my calculator to help me out, make it a little quicker for you guys. $136.80 is going to be the final cost of the stroller after the coupon and after she uses the Target Red Card. Remember, you can do the problems with proportions if you would like, but using the shortcut, if you just want to find a percent of something, it's very easy to multiply like that. Now we're going to move on to a little bit more difficult problems, and you're just going to be using percentages in these problems. That's what makes them a little bit tougher. You have to understand where you're going with the problem and where you can use your basic percent knowledge and then where you can go forward from there. So to win the drive, chip, and putt competition, Colin needs to sink 70% of his putts in the sudden death final in order to beat his opponent. After 10 putts, Colin made 8 and he had missed 2. How many of the remaining 10 must he make in order to be named the drive, chip, and putt champion? So we have to determine how many total putts he does in the whole competition, like a starting point. So he has 10 left, 10 to go, and he's already made 8, so I'm going to put a smiley face by 8, and he's missed 2. I'm going to put a frowny face by 2. So together, he has 20 total putts. He needs to make 70%. Now this is the point where you can choose. You can do a proportion, or you can multiply by 0.70 to get 70% of 20. That's your goal, 70% of 20. Real quick, I'll write up here 70%, and the 20 would go in the denominator because you're looking for 70% of it. That's another way you could do these simple find a percent of something else. He needs to make 14. Now, he's already made how many? 8. So 14 take away 8 is going to tell us how many he needs left to complete, which would be 6 more he must make. So he needs to make 6 putts. 14 was how many he would need to make out of the 20, but he's already made 8, so he has 6 more to go. Next question. All of the kids from the daycare went and saw Santa at the mall. There were 8 girls and some boys in Charlotte's class. 40% of her class wore a red hat to see Santa. There were 6 students who wore a red hat. Write an algebraic equation that can be used to find the number of boys who are in her class. Use B to represent the number of boys. Now, there's a couple things we need to unpack here. We need to know how 40% is written as in an equation, which is 0.40 or 0.4. 40% of all the kids wore the red hat. So this is my setup. 40% times all the kids wore the hat equals the hat. 40% of all the kids, and the kids were girls and boys. And those were the kids that wore the hat. 40% of them. Now, we've got to go and actually unpack the problem. It says 8 girls, so instead of girls, I'm going to put 8. And then it says 6 students wore the hat. So where we have hat, that's where 6 goes. And then it says B is where the boys go. So girls and boys. If I'm saying girls and boys together, that means I got to add them together. Do I have anything that matches that? And the answer would be B. Now, on your test, quiz, homework, you just have to circle which one is the correct answer, which one matches the story. So go back to the story and make sure it matches exactly what the story had to say. The last one we're going to work on today is buying a Steelers Division playoff game ticket. StubHub is charging him $10 for using their website, as well as 7.5% of the cost of his ticket in taxes. In total, he paid $22 in taxes and the charge for their website. How much was the Steelers ticket? Define variables, write and solve an equation. So T would be, you could say the cost. That wasn't a very good equal sign. T is the cost of a ticket. And 22 was the total. $10 because he just has to use the website. Plus 7.5% of the cost of the ticket. 7.5 as a decimal in an equation is 0.075, and then it's times the cost of the ticket times the T. Then I solve my equation. Subtract the 10 because that was the fee. So that means 12 was the tax. $12 was the tax on the ticket. And I'm going to divide by 0.075. This is going to give me the cost of the ticket. So I have 12 divided by 0.075, and that would be $160. It's important to note that when you're doing 7.5, it's not going to be 0.75. That's 75%. It's going to be 0.075.